Welcome to another Millennial in Debt video. If you are new here, hit the subscription button below, turn on the notification bell so you get that every single time I upload a video. My name is Melissa, aka Millennial in Debt. I help millennials and Gen Z secure the bag, build generational wealth, and gain financial freedom. And I have given up alcohol indefinitely. Indefinitely. So January 2023, I decided that I was going to stop drinking for 1 year. And in December of 2023, I decided to give up alcohol indefinitely. So I was thinking for a while how I wanted to film this video, how I wanted to approach this video, what I wanted to say. I was thinking about it over and over and over in my head when I was driving home from the gym. But I think we're just going to freestyle it. I think that is what I like to do. So I'm going to start at the beginning and just give a little background on a couple of things that led me to this decision and just like kind of recap my life with the drinking and alcohol. I have had body dysmorphia and some type of eating disorder probably since I was 12 years old. Since I went to or maybe 13, since my 8th grade prom, I had this like really nice blue dress and I loved that dress. And I remember when I was getting the dress tailored by one of my mom's friends, she was like, oh, we're gonna make you like a little bolero jacket to cover up your arms. And she did like the flappy arm thing to cover up your arms and to cover like the acne on your arms and back. I was like, oh, okay. So from that moment, from that time, I can honestly say that I have not had the best relationship with food. I have not had the best relationship with my body. And I've been able to essentially hide it really well because I've essentially maintained thinness. I've been thin for thin, semi-thin, thick, thin, whatever the sayings are. I've essentially been acceptable in society. So no one ever really, had anything to say. Like when I'm thinner, they're like, "Oh, you look so good," and when I'm heavier, people don't say much, but they will comment as soon as the weight shifts back to a level of thinness that's deemed appropriate for my height and my typical look. Um, and that is essentially how I also feel that people have navigated my relationship with alcohol. I don't think I've ever been an alcoholic. I wouldn't label myself as an alcoholic, and I don't think I've had what we would say a problem with alcohol, but I don't think I had a healthy relationship with alcohol. I don't know if can you have a healthy relationship with alcohol? Maybe, I don't know. I don't think I had one. So I feel like it was just shy of potentially becoming a problem in 2022. So let's talk about why, right? So like I mentioned, I've always had some sort of like eating issue, body dysmorphia, body issue. And so when I got to high school, I started running track. And initially, when I started running track and started doing a lot of I got into cardio and kickboxing, it was because I wanted to be thin, super thin. I wanted to almost be rail thin because at this time, right, which we can all remember like Y2K and growing up in that time, having a booty, which I've had my entire life, was not in yet, right? People weren't getting BBLs yet. And so I wanted to shrink my body to as small as possible. And how I got really good results doing that was running. And so many of my friends would be like, yo, Melissa only eats like chicken fingers, Pringles, and chocolate chip cookies every day and water. That's essentially what I ate every day for 4 years in high school. And I would run. I would do so much cardio and I would be so thrilled when I could see the imprint of my neck, my collarbone. That's when I would know I'm like, yes, like I am doing amazing, right? And my first introduction to alcohol, I was 16 years old, and my home was always the place where my friends and family would meet, would come over. My brother's friends would come over. My parents were always like super supportive of everyone. Just come over. We're having a barbecue. We're having a party. We're having this. And so when I turned 16 on New Year's Eve, my parents let me have a glass of champagne, right, to toast. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And it made me feel so like grown and a part of the community and all these things. And I carried both of those experiences with my weight and body and, wanting to be thin, and the experience of this is community, this is fun with the drinking, the alcohol, into college, right? So I got to college, I just turned 18, and I started going to parties because that's what you do when you're in college. I started going to parties, started drinking, and I remember one of the like craziest or scariest initial experiences I had in college with alcohol. I was working on campus the summer of my freshman year, so going into sophomore year. And a bunch of my friends also worked on campus. So we essentially had the entire university to ourselves over the summer. We got to dorm for free because we were working for the university. And we had so much fun. And I remember drinking Southern Comfort. I never drank it ever again after that night, so much that I blacked out. And when I woke up the next morning, which we were all going to Six Flags, I woke up the next morning hungover, confused about where everyone was because I was in a dorm room by myself in my panties. My boyfriend was, I don't know, I think somewhere else because he also got like shit faced. And I woke up like, what the happened last night? Like, how did I even end up here? How did I end up here? And I did, take one for the team and went to Six Flags with everyone else, but I was miserable. It was not fun. I didn't get on any rides. I felt sick the entire time. And so I was just like, maybe I'll just never drink SoCo again. Maybe I'll just never drink Southern Comfort because like that's my weakness, right? That has to be it. Because I've drunk before at other parties and I've been fine. And so I started going to more parties and we started having house parties. Like one of my friends was the first person to get an off campus home. And so we would go to her house all the time and just people would drink so much. We would just be passed out, littered on her floor for 12, 14, 16 hours. Like people, like when we would go to that house, it was amazing. It was amazing that anyone made it out, right? I thought we were all just gonna like die. Um, and one of my friends never drank ever. And so he eventually became like my boyfriend, but he would make fun. So he wouldn't like say, "Oh, you shouldn't drink," but he would just make fun like, "Look at you passed out," and would have all these pictures. And I one was embarrassed and two was like, "Oh, I could not drink. You think you're the only person who cannot drink?" And so I gave up drinking for 3 years, from 2007 to 2010. I gave up alcohol, so my last 3 years of college, to essentially prove to him that I didn't need alcohol to be fun, that I could be just as cool and fun as him. And eventually we started dating, and it's so interesting because 2010, when I started drinking again, it's because I found out he cheated on me, right? And so I needed alcohol to be that crutch. And I was such a lightweight at that time. And I started in heavy because it was like ladies drink free all night, one of those, whatever those things that used to be lit in those time periods. Um, and I drove drunk that night. I drove drunk that night. I was shit faced, but I was in more control or less drunk than my best friend that was with me. So I drove. And when I think about it, when I say it out loud now, I'm not only mortified because I am literally the Uber queen or the commute. Like we're taking the train, we're doing this. Nobody's driving drunk. Like it's not happening. And I drove drunk in 2010, and I am beyond ashamed and embarrassed. I don't know what I was trying to prove. I don't know what I was thinking. All I know and remember was being so hurt and distraught that someone I loved and cared about cheated on me. And the first thing and the only thing that I thought about helping me get through that was alcohol. Even though I had gone 3 years without it prior, I was like, I'm in pain. I'm hurting. I want to no longer feel that pain or that hurt. I want to numb this immediately. I need alcohol. So I started drinking again at like parties, socially. I was just like, I'm back. The bitch is back, right? And so that's how it was for, those years. And my weight would fluctuate during that time. So it would be really low, really, really, really low, where I'd be super, super thin, or it would be like normal average, or I'd just be a little rounder, a little heavier, a little thicker than people usually expected. And so I would work out super heavy, work out really hard, run 2, 3, 400, 500, 600 miles a year, trying to keep up with my poor diet, keep up with my poor nutritional habits, keep up with my drinking at all these social events and parties. My friends are turning 21, my friends are turning 25. These are big markers. My friends are doing this. We're going to clubs. We're going to do it. So I was battling this body dysmorphia of trying to be as thin as possible, but my body doing certain things at certain times, right? Because that's what bodies do. And then also doing this balancing act of I need to be out there, I need to be social, and then, right, having to pay off debt. Once I hit 25, I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I want to move out. I want to go have sex in my own house. I want to do all these things. I need to pay off this debt. And so I started to shift my mentality a little bit. And I started to focus more on saving money. So, of course, the alcohol consumption had to come way, 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 way down. And I started focusing more on trying to be healthier, a healthier version of myself so that I wouldn't have to run all the time and I wouldn't have to do all of these things. And then 2017 came and I blew out my knee. I blew out my knee, which meant that even though I was eating healthier and trying to be better about how I approach my body and talk about my body and handle my body, I could not do the level of cardio that I felt comfortable doing, that I loved doing. And I gained weight, which depressed me, which made me upset, which kind of sent me spiraling. So what did I do? I started drinking again, right? But again, when you do things that are socially acceptable in a socially acceptable way, right? You're double dipping in. Nobody is going to say, hey, you have a problem, or you might have a problem, or you're teetering on the edge of having a problem. And any inconvenience or any level of sadness or anything that happened that I didn't like, I'm going to get a bottle of wine. I'm going to go, get a drink. I'm going to start drinking whiskey. I'm going to start doing this. I want to be the cool girl since I can't, like all of these thoughts in my head tied in with my body and alcohol consistently. And so I worked and worked and worked and worked to heal this knee injury because I'm like, I can't give up running because although a lot of times I would use running to manage my weight, running also became an escape for me. Running is something I love to do. I started it for all the wrong reasons, and it carried me through a lot of crazy body fluctuations, but I love what my body feels like during a run. I love what my body feels like after a run. I say it all the time that one of my favorite things about running or about working out or about being in the gym is that my body knows what to do. My body automatically knows what to do. My body knows to breathe, inhale. My body knows the strides. Like it just does it. I don't have to think about it. And there's very few things in my life that I don't have to think about and micromanage and whatever. And so I love running. And not being able to run was really difficult. And it made, that escape from having to think and do all these things difficult. So drinking became more of a priority. And I try to find so many other things. And there are so many other things I love to do. I definitely started going to yoga more. I started to do spin soul cycle more and just all these things. But running, I was like, I need to get back to running. I need to get back to running. I need to get back to running. And so I got a job, my last teaching job, and it was in Queens because I used to work in Brooklyn. So it was in the borough that I was living, but there was no parking. So I had to take the train. I had to do a lot more commuting. And when I tell you, I was so excited for the way my body reacted to that commute. I know it's crazy now that I'm saying it, but walking essentially 20,000 steps a day with ease, because I was a teacher, I had to park by the train, and the train did not have parking. So I was literally parked like half a mile away from the train station every day. So I was walking a mile pretty much every day from my car to the train, from the train to my car, walking to the train to get to my job, walking around as a teacher, taking the steps in the school all the time. It was a 5-floor school. I took the stairs all the time. I would be on the stairs with the kids. They're like, why don't you take the elevator? Stairs all the time. And my body did what I wanted it to do. So I didn't have to run as much, right? So I started getting into upper body. I was so excited. I was like, yes, 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 this is like amazing, amazing, amazing. And then I got a remote job. I got a remote job that I loved. I'm not even going to mince words. I loved that job because I was making a lot of money. I got to stay home with my dog. I got to work out when I wanted, but I also was a lot more sedentary. Sedentary. So instead of the 20,000 steps that I was taking all the time, I was taking now like 4,000 or 5,000 steps. I had more time to play with my friends and go out, and I was so happy and having fun being the outside girl traveling. So that means I wasn't cooking and eating as healthy as I was before when I was teaching. It also means I was drinking more and having so much more fun drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking. And I didn't start noticing a problem until I started making content recapping certain experiences, right? So when I was recapping Amsterdam, when I was recapping my birthday weekend, or recapping a weekend I spent with my friends, it was always like cheers would be the transition. It'd be another cheers, like alcohol, alcohol, alcohol. And I mentioned to my friend, I'm like, I think I'm drinking too much. Like, drinking is such a huge theme in all my content recently. She's like, no, you're only going out on like Saturdays. It's not a big deal. And I'm just like, it feels like it could be a big deal. And even on my trips and vacations, I was drinking and drinking and drinking. And the real big moment for me was when I went to Costa Rica with my family in 2022, in December of 2022. And we were having so much fun, and we were drinking and laughing and joking. And that's one of the best trips I've ever been on in my life. And amazing. And on day 3, we were there for 7 days. On day 3, I woke up a little later than my family, and so they had gone to breakfast. And so when I met them in the pool, it was like lunchish, early lunchish time, and we were taking shots. And even my mom was like, okay, I'll take one. I have since told her she no longer has to be peer pressured by us. She has been the right one the whole time. Um, so we're drinking and drinking and drinking, and we go sit down to have lunch together. And like I'm starting to eat, and I feel really just unwell. And I throw up my entire life. It felt like right on the floor, right next to my dad, just puking. And I was mortified. My brother had to carry me back to my room. And I was there with my family, but also creating content for the hotel. So I was working essentially for the hotel. And I threw up and was hungover for a long time. So I essentially lost the rest of that third day. I was able to like get it together to come down for dinner for a little bit, and went back to my room and was like out for I didn't end up feeling okay for another day, like the 24 hours after. Um so I decided not to drink for the rest of that trip. I was just like, no, like I can't do it. And when I got back home, I was spending New Year's with my boyfriend, and I was just like, okay, maybe I'll just do like some champagne or something. Like, I don't know. And when I woke up January 1st, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to drink this year. I'm not going to drink this year because I definitely felt like I was spiraling. I was getting a little bit out of control. I was relying too heavily on alcohol to be the fun person. And I know I don't need that. I know I don't need it to be the fun person. So I gave it up, and it was such an easy thing. I know a lot of times people are like, oh, it's really difficult. I had a pretty easy time giving up alcohol this year. I will say, and I always say, that I have the best friends and family and boyfriend in the world. They support me through everything. And I've had so many things to celebrate in 2023. My book launch, my anniversary with my boyfriend, the holidays. I did like a really amazing brand trip with Expedia. And so many things happened where it was just like alcohol was everywhere. And I just had no desire or need to drink. I didn't want to, and I didn't. And I never was pressured, and I had some really great, delicious mocktails. But I also just like don't want to waste the calories. I'm still working on the body thing. We've got the alcohol thing down. We're working on the other part. Um, I didn't miss it. I didn't care. I didn't feel bad. My friends and family aren't acting different. They don't give a shit either. And a lot of my close friends have actually said, like, yeah, I think I'm gonna like downsize, limit, or just stop as well. And I've gotten great support online from my audience, my community. I don't miss it, and I don't care about it. And I feel like if I don't miss it and I don't care and it didn't really add any amazing things to my life, why spend the money? Why waste the calories? Why, go back down that road when I just don't have to? I don't want to. So I won't. It's as simple as that. Some things are just as simple as that. And I'm just really excited for 2024 to tackle it, with fresh eyes and a sober state, and just have the most amazing, fun, wild life without alcohol. That's it. That's it. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.